Africans. Come on, Africans.
Oh yes, so my people, what's going on? What's happening? What's cracking? It's your boy JB back again with another video, another episode of the African Fighters Podcast. And today I'm with your usual face and my usual foe, ladies and gentlemen, from London, England. Here is here is King
you're,
Dems.
you're pointing in the wrong direction. I am here. I am here. Whoa, I'm happy. I'm happy to be here. What's up, everybody?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Omo, I'm great, man. I'm doing fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a new feature. I have finally learned how to put sound bites, and you guys,
You will not allow us to rest.
it
You
is
will
over.
not allow us to rest. Who can say?
Well, yes, I know this is late. I should have gotten this a long time ago. And I have one question for you. It shocked you, Abby?
It shocked you.
Why are you like this?
Okay. All right, guys. Welcome back. First of all, I want to apologize to our audio listeners. It's been 3 weeks we had not uploaded since episode 40. This is episode 44, and actually 2 weeks. We haven't uploaded for 2 weeks in our audio pod. That is because our memory was full somewhere. I've sorted it. Immediately after this drops, the episodes will be backdated. The episodes will go out. Apologies about that.
Sorted.
Yes. That would never happen again. So with that being said, Funke! All right, Apostle will hear of this. All right, guys. Yesterday was not a very exciting day for African MMA, although there was a few victories. There's a couple of things we could talk about this week. We're going to talk about Usman's podcast having Dana White and some things that were discussed there. We're going to talk about Mohammed Usman. Last night we're going to talk about Saaiman last night. We're going to talk about Youssuf, the Moroccan Devils, Zalal from last night, and a couple of more things to talk about. Shout out to Christopher Graham for hooking us up with some questions and putting some direction into this pod. We appreciate you, brother. Kingdoms, is there anything exciting going on? I don't understand why you are wearing a suit or a blazer. This is supposed to be a casual affair where we just chop it up. I don't know if you are trying to outstage me, or did you send our podcast link to somebody that is very important to you that will come and watch, so you would want them to see you looking fly like this? What's the situation with that?
I'll say you're partially correct. I think on the second leg you're correct, right? But on the first leg, so basically it looks like I brought a gun to a knife fight, right? So actually my business school, my business school, Augment Business School, right? Chose me as one of the top voices in their top voice program, right? And I just finished, recording the video for the top voice program, and I did not have time to, switch to something casual. That's the reason why I'm here.
Okay, no wahala.
I'm feeling like Dana White right now.
Well, Dana White never wears a tie, so I give you that.
Yeah, so you see, we had the record, pay-per-view in this fight, and Jibril Aminu won fight of the night.
That is a very horrible Dana White impression.
He's gonna get 50,000. He's gonna get 50K.
All right. I hear you. Thank you. We have 4 people watching. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hit that like button, smash the like button. I appreciate it. Shout out to you guys. Also, you could chip in the comment section, and we'll be sure to read it. Yeah. All right. Let's go for the first topic. The first topic is, as you know, Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo have a new podcast called Pound for Pound. It's not so new because it's been ongoing for over a month now. They've got a couple of guests on, some exciting episodes. It's really, really a good listen. if you are on for those type of things. And this week they had the almighty Dana White in person.
I
And
thought Dana White said he's done with podcasts.
oh, did he say he was going to start a
Yeah,
podcast of his own?
no. Dana White said he's done with podcasts after that.
Oh yeah, after that Howie Mandel situation, right?
How we why did he come?
Anyway, yeah, well, it's Usman, and we know that Kamaru Usman. I mean, Dana White absolutely loves Kamaru Usman. When Usman was a champion, he was a stud. He was a company guy. He was a yes man to the company basically, and
And a
for
money
that he
maker,
was rewarded.
money maker.
Yeah, he was rewarded handsomely rather, even though a lot of people were throwing shit at him. But Kamaru Usman is a stud, which is bringing me to why I'm bringing up this podcast. In that podcast, Dana White did say, this isn't his first time of saying that, by the way. He did say that Kamaru Usman is the welterweight GOAT of the UFC. And this begs a lot of question. A lot of people will chime in and be like, how about GSP?
How about
And
GSP?
yes, like Demola here. Demola will be like, "How about GSP? GSP did this. GSP did that." Well, first of all, there's the fact that Dana is a businessman, and the fact that GSP is retired and Usman is not retired. He would rather big up Usman so Usman can actually draw more if he eventually fights again, rather than him putting Usman down. But I want to hear from you. Do you agree that Kamaru Usman is the welterweight goat of the UFC? I have my reasons that I will tell you yes, he is, but I would want to hear you first.
Okay, so basically, there has to be a method to the madness, right? So, or what are the yardsticks you're using to measure this greatness? So, let's talk about things like the winning streaks, right? Let's talk about things like the strength of schedule. Who were the people that this guy has faced, right? That is the quality of the opposition. Also, we could also talk about the commercial value, right? So, three things: commercial value, quality of opposition, and the winning streak. GSP had a 13 fight winning streak, right? But then in terms of the quality of the opposition that he faced killers, in his own age and time. But something interesting about GSP's resume is the fact that he actually beat everybody he ever faced. So it means he avenged, the losses on his resume, and that is impressive. That is fantastic. I remember he retired, I think in 2017 thereabout, right? He beat the likes of Michael Bisping and the likes, right? But you would agree with me, between 2017 and 2024, the sport has changed, right? There's been a massive evolution in the sport. You have, very, very technical, very strong, very refined fighters that have come since 2017. And Usman has actually taken the mantle, when did Usman become champion? uh 2018 thereabouts, if I'm not mistaken, or 2019. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right. And then he basically ran through the division twice on his way going up, and when he became champion. So he's been the most dominant champion basically in welterweight. But also in terms of the commercial value, Usman has actually sold more pay-per-views, right, for the UFC than
Well,
GSP.
I would say Usman has the record for the most pay-per-view sales for a UFC title fight. If you wouldn't know, that would be his fight in Fight Island during the pandemic with
Against Masvidal.
Masvidal. I believe that
Yeah.
fight sold about 1.2 million pay-per-view buys, which nobody outside of Conor McGregor has done that for the UFC before. So, although you can't argue that Masvidal was like one significant part of the card being a huge draw, but you can't take
Usman
anything
was
away
the A
from the
side.
champion.
Usman
Yeah,
was the A
they had
side, bro.
yeah, Usman was the A side. Usman did a good business for the UFC when he fought Masvidal the second time. When he fought Kobe
Mhm,
twice, he did good business for them.
mhm.
So absolutely, the UFC, Dana White adores him for that reason. He puts him up with GSP up there as likely the greatest of all time. I would accept. And here's another thing, right? GSP had a lot of hype and a lot of buzz around him if he fights in Canada or when he fights in Canada. So
Because
Canada
he
is
had the
sort of
country
like,
behind him, basically. He had that country
yes,
behind him.
yes. So Canadians, they rally behind their own. We've seen it in pro wrestling with like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Edge, Chris Jericho. Whenever they go home, even though they portray to be the bad guys on TV, the crowd will still cheer them. So GSP was like a god in Canada. So UFC were doing good business when they go to Canada in the arenas, but not necessarily on the pay-per-views. I think GSP had one. His biggest pay-per-view was about 900K. I think that was the time that he fought one of the Diaz brothers, if I'm correct. But anyways, um, if you talk about bringing money, Kamaru Usman
The
would
commercial
have
value, Cameron
potentially,
has the edge, right?
because
In terms
we
of
know that
winning streak as well. Camaro
Yeah,
has the
Yaz Island was a big deal for the UFC during the pandemic. It was a big needle mover for them when they put all their earnings, because UFC is a public traded company. You could see their numbers if you go online, and you would see that the number, if you look at the little graph, the graph shot up during the pandemic, like went from this to this. And one of the biggest turning point was Fight Island. And Usman was literally the A side going into that event. Even though the main event was a bit of a dud, the rematch was not. But
knockout.
yeah,
That
there
was the
is that.
knockout.
And also Usman was this close. This close. I'm talking about 1 minute short of breaking the all-time record for the most wins
Anderson
in
Silva's
UFC
record.
history. So not just in the welterweight. So if you look at that as well, that would be something. I think we will probably not have this argument if Usman had beaten Leon Edwards that night before that head kick came around. I think a lot of people will not even say welterweight good. They'll put him up there with the rest of the guys that are up there in the upper high echelon of being the goats in MMA. But yeah, Usman
He is
still.
in that conversation, to be honest, right? I don't know if you saw
So
the
so
top
so, so
30 list
yeah. So
recently.
so 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 there's a thing in sports about goat and Mount Rushmores, right? We It's not about the body of the career. It's also about how you ended your career, right? Anderson
Recency
Silva did
bias.
a Wait, Anderson Silva did a big dent to his career because he continued fighting even when he wasn't what he was, right? He was taking L's up and down, and that wasn't a good look for us. That's why, like, if you want to argue about GOAT, you would always kind of like scratch your head when you're talking about Anderson Silva, right? But someone like Khabib did not stay on top for too long. He went away without losing. And like the way he left the game, if you're talking about GOAT, you can just throw him in there and nobody can be like, because they have never seen a moment of weakness from Khabib. Speaking about greatness, Zinedine Zidane, it's a football reference. Zidane left football when he was on top of his game. He literally just played the finals of the World Cup and was like, I'm done. So, um, that would come into play with how Usman would end his career. GSP ended his career winning a title and relinquishing it. You see, that's a very beautiful way to end your career, right? That's a good career. How will Usman end his? Will Usman win a title and walk down the sunset, or will he win like a big burner fight, like maybe winner leaves town sort situation or whatever? Would it be like a big main event that he wins and then walks away, leaves his glove in the stage in the cage rather? It all depends that what would happen with how Usman's story will end in MMA. That will determine if we are going to call him a goat or not. Sure time first ballot Hall of Famer. But my thing is, let's see how his career is going to end. If I would make a prediction, I say he still has like 2 or 3 fights left. What about you?
We can only wait and see. I think, yeah, I agree with the 2 or 3 fights left, but I want to see him get that win back against Chimaev, because I feel like that fight, if it were a 5 round fight, it would have been a really different conversation. So I'd like to see him main event against Chimaev, get that win back, and probably grab the welterweight, title again, or get the middleweight title, and there is no conversation any longer about his good status.
Okay.
There is God. Oh.
All right, next one.
I see you.
Uh,
You are trigger happy. You're trigger happy today.
yes,
with the
yes,
new
yes, my
feature,
brother.
with the new feature you've been
Yes.
able to get.
Oh, yes, 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 my brother. Funke,
Funke.
man.
Funke.
Why?
All right, so we are going to go next. Next. All right, I in the top of the show, top of the hour, like Jim Cornette will say. Tough month. This is from Cameron Saaiman, by the way, via our Patreon page. Tough month for African MMA. Who would you like to book Mohammed Usman and Cameron Saaiman against next and put them back in the win column? But before we get into that, let's talk about those losses, right? Mohammed Usman lost to British heavyweight Parkin. And if you can remember, Usman was supposed to fight Chris Barnett, which would have certainly put them in the main card of that event because Chris Barnett is loads of fun. And like I feel like the UFC kind of like put that fight in place so both guys have a bit of something that the MMA fans remember about. Like Chris Barnett is the dancer, weird, chubby dancer. Mohammed Usman, winner of the Ultimate Fighter, and also Kamaru Usman's brother. But that fight fell off via Chris Barnett. I don't know if he was injured. I can't remember particularly, but he ended up fighting Chris Barnett. Parkin, who is an undefeated heavyweight from England. He is a training partner of Tom Aspinall, who is a heavyweight in the UFC as well. Um, by the way, this fight was the first fight in the prelims, early prelims, first fight prelim opener, which is not really a good spot to be honest. I
It's
kind
not
of
good.
feel like it's a bit unfair. Anyways, Kamaru Usman's brother Mohammed Usman came into this fight as the underdog, and after the first round, the live odds swung to his favor because of the damage he did to Parkin in the first round. But regardless, it was a very close fight. I don't think people will call robbery if Usman if the judges give Usman the victory. And what was your take about the fight, basically, and Usman's performance?
To be honest, right? Let me start from the end, then before I come back. I saw that fight and I thought it was going to be a split decision. It was very close. So I don't know if I was biased because apparently I'm Nigerian, supporting my Nigerian brother. But then I'm a professional. I'm usually very objective. First
There
round,
is
clearly
God.
Usman.
Oh.
First round, clearly Usman, right? But then what is the basis for judging an MMA fight? If you were to tell, an intelligent, human being who does not really know much about MMA, right? You tell them what is the criteria. The number one criteria is the damage, right? And what else? Damage, octagon control, right? So based on the scoring criteria, Usman landed more damage, right? But the guy packing was landing sort of more volume, right? So me being a judge, I won't be judging in favor of somebody who is landing volume as against somebody who is landing,
And most of the volume, I would say, came from leg kicks, didn't it?
exactly from their kicks, right? But Usman was landing the devastating punches, the punches that were clearly blocking this guy, and then you give this guy the win. I don't understand in what world Pacquiao actually did win that fight because I saw that fight and I saw it again, right? In order to gain a new perspective. I don't know. I don't think he won it.
I think
I,
the fight was taken. I think it was unfair judging a bit, but just a second. We've got Themba Gorimbo clocking in here. Shout out to Themba. He said the reason why the fight is normally first fight is according to where the fighters are normally from. It's for the people from your country to. Oh.
Oh
That
wow,
makes
interesting.
sense.
Interesting.
That
That's
makes
nice.
sense.
That's nice. So
Well,
make my
so
time to watch.
so it's not about the card placement. It's not about like ranking of where they rank you, but it's
Mm,
about where
you're from.
you would be. But again, if fighters fight on pay-per-view and they are in the main card, they will get more eyes because people are mostly late to the show. People mostly miss the prelims.
But it's not a pay-per-view.
Uh,
It's a
yeah,
fight night.
yeah, it's not a pay-per-view. It's a fight night, but yeah, fair, fair. All right, if that's the case, they should have put Cameron Simon early too. But anyways, uh, we're going to segue to Cameron Simon. Cameron Simon, his fifth fight in the UFC. He was going against another guy that came through Dana White Contender Series in Talbot. I'm gonna say that guy has the best tattoos in the UFC. He has this cool tattoo that like he's got something on his leg and then he's got this black hole in his stomach and the black hole in his back as well. Very cool tattoo. Pay-per-view is early morning Africa. When Cameron fought, it was 5:30 a.m. in South Africa. Damn. South Africa way ahead than us in time.
Yeah, they are like 2 hours ahead. Yeah, they're 2 hours ahead of
Yeah.
GMT. Yeah.
All right. So Cameron Simon was fighting this Talbot guy. And before you said something in the past, right? When I saw Cameron Simon and Talbot in that octagon, I remembered something you said that you said
Look, like
Cameron
man
is
against
too
boy.
small.
I've
Yeah,
always said
he's too
it's
small
too
for
small for that division. Yeah.
he's small for his division. Because both fighters made weight and I saw like straight on in the first round, I could see the difference in power. Because Talbot was not respecting whatever was coming his way from Simon. He was walking him down, right?
Mhm.
He was catching kicks. You know when you disrespect someone so much, he throws a kick and you hold the kick, and then you still waste time holding the kick and then pushing him away, and then walking. He was walking down Cameron Simon like RoboCop. Like he was not respecting whatever was coming from Cameron Simon's way, and
Was
you could tell
dominating.
there was a bit of a body size difference, but there was certainly a difference in the power in that first round. It was like MSP. I think Dana White had a nickname for him. He called him the future or something. And Talbot made him look light work, man. He made it look very, very, very easy. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is someone that has seen both of them. Demba said Talbot is huge. He's 6 foot for a bantam. It's huge, and Cameron is a big bantamweight.
Whoa.
So, well, there you go. So, if Talbot can continue killing himself to make weight in bantamweight, then I guess he's going to be running through those guys, most of them,
He's on the
because
British on
the
Mali.
way the way the first round looked, if you're not a fan of MMA and you see that fight the first time, you probably be like, why is this man fighting a young boy like this? Because it wasn't looking like it was a fair fight. Kudos to Cameron Simon. He never stopped throwing. He was constantly throwing. He got hurt a lot of times in the first round, which made I'm sure played a significant role in him getting finished in the second round because it just took one punch. He fell, his head bounced off the canvas, which is never a good sign. I heard that in the UFC they have to stop every fight that a fighter gets his head bounced in the canvas, but the ref kind of like gave them a bit of give Simon a bit of time to kind of recover, but he never did, and Talbot took the victory. For a casual, if you see that fight, you definitely be a fan of Talbot. First of all, awesome tattoo. Absolutely loved it. His demeanor, even after he got the TKO, was incredible. But let me throw this your way, right? Because I've spoken too much. What do you think is next for Cameron Simon? What do you think is next for Simon? And also, do you think we're still going to see Usman versus Chris Barnett?
Okay. One over two. What's next for Cameron Saaiman? I was thinking really because of that size differential. I think he is probably on like the lower end of the range for bantamweights. I think he should probably make a try at flyweight, and he will dominate those guys at flyweight. I
Bro,
see.
he looks ripped, shredded. There's no more no more space to cut any weight. What are you saying?
If Henry Cejudo could do that, right? Come on, come
Yeah.
on. If TJ Dillashaw, who was bantamweight champion, right, who go down to flyweight, there's a possibility. That is actually a possibility. He could try flyweight, right? We even had this other guy tried it as well. This guy is going to fight in what's it called? Needs a long to break. Okay. He needs a long break here, but then he could try a shot at flyweight. Mohammed Usman, I would like to see that fight against Chris Barnett. And another person I would like to see him fight is Rogerio de Lima, right? That would be an interesting one. Before this fight, he was on an upward trajectory. We were looking at possibility of pitching him against somebody in the lower end of the rankings, probably 15, 14, 13, right? But then I don't think this fight took anything off his stock. His stock is still rising, and let's see him fight Chris Barnett or
Well,
probably Lima.
I think about Saaiman, I actually think he should. Yo, dude, he just got to the UFC and this is his fifth UFC fight, right? He really needs to take his time because prior to him coming to the UFC, he was very busy fighting in MMA, in EFC, sorry, and I know he loves to always fight because there was a time he was, I think, on one of Dricos's card and he was injured, but he still went through training, still came and he fought. There was then the second fight after that. He came into the fight. His opponent missed weight by like 5 kgs or 5 pounds or more. And he had the chance to forfeit the fight, but he still took the fight, which gave him his first L in MMA. So there's this eagerness for him to go out there and fight. But since he started fighting, he's never like suffered defeat like this where he got his head pounded so many times. I think I agree with Temba. He needs to sit home, heal up, train, clear his brain, and come out. I think now that Dracos is champ, we would not see him until a couple of months. Maybe that might be long enough because he always wants to be in the same fight card as Dracos. We have Temba saying also management wise, I don't know who is managing, but shouldn't have taken this fight. Wish the previous guy and with this guy, but again, you fight who you are told. Yeah, bro, that Talbot guy was. I really, to be honest, I didn't see him in Dana White contender series, but prior when I was looking him up before this fight, bro, it was very, very scary. Very, very scary. And if you hear the dark things that guy is saying, he's such a cool guy, such a cool guy. Anyways, shout out to Cameron Saaiman, man. Wishing you all the best. Would love to see you back in there. But take your time and heal up. All right. On to the next one.
Whoever touching this thing is regretting right now.
We are going to. We saw the Moroccan devil, Youssuf Zalal. Youssuf Zalal made his return in the UFC featherweight. Last time we saw Zalal, he was cut from the UFC after a winless 4 fights. So he lost 3 fights, and his 4th fight was a majority draw. And he left the UFC. He went, traveled around. I think it was around 2021 that he got released, and then he came back. This is his first fight back. Temba also wishes Cameron Saaiman all the best. Needed a break. So, Youssuf Zalal came back to the UFC after all that adversity that he went through. He came back to the UFC. And his first fight back, he was fighting Billy Q, and he took that fight and grabbed Billy Q, submitted him, someone that has never been submitted. Beautiful rear naked choke. If you watch the fight, Youssuf was very, very active, the Moroccan devil that is. I give him props because we know it's Ramadan. He is likely, he's likely.
Likely fasting mode.
You know why I'm laughing? I'm laughing because Emma said, "What is the internet boy? Did
Oh,
you
that
fire him?" Yes, Tamba. We did not fire Toby. Toby still works for us, but it's his internet was becoming an issue, so we had to because we were apologizing to everybody every time that time, so we had to allow him to relax more. But yeah, Toby is still around. If he gets better internet, we'll continue. But it's not his fault. It's Nigeria, bro. So, yeah. Speaking about Youssuf Zalal, uh, very very impressive fight. He looked absolutely dominating, right? He Something I would like to point out: his first career loss in the UFC was against current champion Ilia Topuria, and it was a unanimous decision fight, which I think in the post-fight press conference or the octagon interview, Youssuf Zalal did say that he gives the victory. Basically, he accepts the victory, the defeat to Ilia Topuria, but he wants the title. He looks absolutely flawless in there, and I believe the next fight is going to be a ranked opponent. The Moroccan Devil actually did a very very good post-fight interview. Um, Something I also noticed was I did see fellow African David Onama was in his corner. I saw someone in there looking very African, and if you understand what I mean, I'm not supposed to politically say it. He was very, very. And then I thought, hey, that guy looks familiar. When the camera came close, I was like, that's Onama. Apparently, they're all trained from the same gym. I believe that's Factory X, if I'm correct, in Denver. Uh, yeah, absolutely would love to see Moroccan Devil back in there. But did you get a chance to see it?
Oh, I did not get to see the full fight, right? But then I was really happy. I saw snippets of the fight. I was happy to see him, come back. If you know me, I always like the story of a comeback, right? And I think immediately I would like to pitch him against someone like Pedro Munoz. I think in terms of styles, that would be a great stylistic matchup. Pedro Munoz up next.
All right, amazing stuff. Shout out Christopher Graham. He said, loves this show. Hope African MMA train gets back on track soon. Yes, we hope so as well.
It's
Temba
been
will
so
make it
good.
happen. Shout out Temba. Temba is fighting pretty soon, guys. Pretty soon. Temba is getting ready to fight. I don't know if there's any announcement. But let's move on. Now, this is a topic that I can tell you for sure. Speaking about Christopher Graham being here, this is a topic I can tell you for sure that does not let Christopher Graham sleep. It gives him sleepless nights. And here it is. I'm going to tell you exactly how, verbatim, exactly how Christopher Graham said it. He said, "Does anyone else find it difficult to give a single solitary F about these Apex shows? I consider myself a hardcore fan and I just don't care about all these events. UFC Apex hosted over 10. Okay, now this is me. This is my notes. I started reading my notes.
I know you guys are lying on that, but I am not
yeah,
in that
yeah.
mix. I am not in
So,
that mix.
all right. So I have more facts about the UFC Apex, right? The UFC Apex has hosted 12% of UFC's events in its entire history, and UFC Apex only started in 2020. Also, all UFC events that have happened in America in the entire history of American history of UFC, 20% of those events happened in the UFC Apex. And UFC Apex has been in existence since 2020. Temba say it's nice at Apex, guys. You look at it, you are getting paid same money either you are at the Apex or the arena. Yes, I have
Exactly.
a counter argument. I have a counter
From the
argument for
business
that.
perspective, it's a good business for the UFC,
So
bro.
so you know me, right? I'm a pro wrestling fan, and oops, can you hear me? Seems like my camera
I can
froze.
I can hear you, but then your camera
All
froze.
right, there we go. So, you know me, I'm a staunch WWE fan, so I kind of follow what broadcasting deals are. And I know that the UFC are in bed with ESPN to broadcast their fight nights for, I believe the contract was $300 million a year. To put it in perspective, Monday Night Raw in WWE, they do weekly events, no time offs. They take $400 million a year for Monday Night Raw, I believe. Anyway, so the UFC would still get paid by the ESPN regardless of if it's in an arena or in the Apex, right? And since the pandemic came and they realized that, oh, look, we can do fight nights in the Apex and get away with it and still contractually complete our contract, basically our deal with ESPN, give them a fight night. What's up? Because here's the thing, in arenas, they sell tickets to fans. In the Apex, they sell bundles, or they do like they invite celebrities, they invite guests, they do like fan experience in there. It's not necessarily a sellout, a much intimate space. A lot of people will argue that if you are watching from the Apex, you would hear everything, including the corners giving instructions. You would hear a pin drop, right? But the thing is, realistically speaking, just as you saw in the pandemic, right? Pro wrestling was unwatchable because there was no crowd.
Exactly.
Same as MMA, the crowd brings the big feel situation, like gives the big feel energy in there. I know that if I
Exactly.
was a fighter, I know that if I was a fighter, I would rather fight in front of a packed arena, right?
But the good thing is
But
we're not a fight.
but I understand what Temba is saying, that you are getting paid same, you're just gonna it's a smaller venue arena, it's the same pay. But what about the fighters that are not in Vegas or near Vegas? They still have to travel with their crew, don't they? Right? There is also
Mhm.
another argument of the Apex has the UFC has full control, 100% control when it's in the Apex. Control about the catering area, control about the parking, control about the guest list, control about fighters backstage, control about the training facilities in there. Fighters can come and even do their camp in there. The hotel that is just next door. You understand? They feel they have control there. I get that. But that is all for the UFC's convenience. Do you understand? Everything that they feel like they have
Definitely.
control about, they should have control about that in other cities. You understand what I mean?
I do understand what
You see,
you're
you
saying,
see,
but then I'm a businessman, and I'll disagree with you. Taking it okay.
wait. Temba has something. Yeah, he says, I'm the king of Apex now, taking
Yeah.
that title away from Jamal Hill and going on to become champion. Yeah, Temba has now back-to-back victories in the Apex, doesn't he? And there is less pressure in the Apex too.
Definitely.
Yes, I get that for fighters, but again, for us, the audience, right? We want to see, and we want to see people going nuts. I would absolutely love every UFC fight night to feel like UFC Paris or UFC in Ireland when Conor McGregor goes there.
Why? That's
You
why you have it.
understand the constant singing, the constant oohs and ahs from the crowd. When something happened, they go ooh or they go ah. You understand the holy shit moments.
That is why
I
you have at least one
absolutely
pay-per-view per month. That's why you have at
what,
least one pay-per-view that's why you have at least one pay-per-view per month. Every day is not Christmas. Come on. You need to wait for the exact day.
bro, bro. I am on the same boat as Christopher Graham on this argument. I know Temba loves the Apexes. He's claiming the king of Apex right now. Well, I
Definitely.
absolutely don't like the Apex. I don't like the experience of watching it. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Casual fans like me and many other casuals, maybe I'm not very, very casual, but I'm a casual, right? Casual fans would absolutely prefer the arena, the crowd setting, like people chanting, people going out, going crazy, right? They don't Casual feel like the apex is what's the word? The apex is boring. But here's the
Shocking.
thing. There's something called ratings in American TV. American TV, they always publish their ratings. Americans are The more ratings you get, the more sponsors or people that would be in business with you, the more they would rate your basically the more you would earn money. You understand? The more rating you get. So uh Apex shows, I've not checked the ratings to be honest, but if you look at UFC fight nights that happen in arenas and happen in Apex, I'm guaranteeing you that the ratings for the ones in arena is much higher. Number one, because the UFC, when they do arenas, they make sure that they do absolutely stacked cards, good cards for even fight nights than they do for Apex, right? So what I believe would happen is when contract negotiation comes up with ESPN, ESPN are going to demand, okay, we are going to be expecting at least 500,000 views or 700,000 or a million people views, you understand, for your fight nights, and your fight nights has to be this standard, you understand, before we sign the deal. I know they only get 300 million a year, going by what WWE are getting from their broadcast deal. I'm sure the next broadcast deal negotiation for the UFC, the money is going to go up. They're probably going to get 500 million per year, and if they do that, whoever is going to, if be it ESPN or wherever they are going, Fox or wherever they decide to go to, they would demand that those fight nights should not be taking place in the Apex. I guarantee you this will happen.
Okay, can I explain something to
I'm
you?
sorry. I'm sorry. I have not given you a chance to speak.
There's a reason why the UFC is $1 billion company and the African Fighters is $1 million company. Learn something. Gee, wow!
Ah!
Evan Moroccan throwing shots, throwing shots. Wow! So you see yourself, right? But
Well, to be honest,
Christopher,
we are still millions, isn't it? Wait, wait.
millionaire.
I have a good one.
There is God, oh.
Shots
There
fired.
is God, though. There is
Shots,
God.
shots
Yeah,
fired,
yeah.
right?
Go ahead.
So,
I'm hearing you.
so interesting, right? I am dressed like Dana White today, and let me explain from Dana White's perspective. So, when it comes to business, in order to get your profit or loss, there's something called we call the statement, of income, or your performance statement. Basically, you have two lines: you have the revenue and you have the costs, right? So, when it comes to
Hmm.
costs, you have certain costs that are fixed costs, and you have certain costs that are variable costs, right? Fixed, as the name implies, they're fixed. So if you're holding an event in the apex, or in an arena, right, there are certain fixed costs, right? However, you should realize something: the UFC is first of all a business before it's a sporting organization, right? Anytime you hold these events in arenas, in places outside of the apex, the variable costs go high. You might be seeing the revenue, as a fan, right? What you just see is, oh, these guys are making money, they're making ticket sales, they're making, but then I can guarantee you that the variable cost that these guys spend on logistics, on security, on, a lot of costs, right? That you guys do not get to see. A lot of hidden costs are associated with holding events outside of your apex, and it erodes the profits. So the UFC would rather have, more of these events, in the apex, and make more profit, and also be
I
able to,
understand. I absolutely understand that. I
and be,
absolutely understand that. I
logistics.
I
receipt.
don't care. As a fan, a casual fan speaking, I don't care about your books. I care about my viewing experience. I am not in America. I cannot go to those arenas, right? I, bro, even if I want to go to Apex now and see an Apex show, I believe I can't because they don't just put it out there for the public. I want to see things. I want to have that experience, that gladiator experience, like walk into an arena and the crowd goes nuts. Then knockout happen, the crowd goes nuts. That's what I want. I don't care about the profit and the whatever. And here's the thing: I guarantee you, the next time the UFC does a broadcasting right deal with whichever broadcasters they are going to go with in America, they are going to have the broadcasters that would pick them are going to put in that deal that they should leave that Apex. That Apex should be for Dana White Contender Series or the Ultimate Fighter or whatever they want to do. They
That is
should give us a big fight feel every time they come out. They've done it in the past and they can still do it now.
that is impossible. And
Anyways,
should I bust your bubbles, right? It will shock you to know that the kind of money they make off the VIP, guest list for the Apex, right, is actually more profitable than what they earn from the ticket sales, for these arenas.
well, I wouldn't know, but
It
I
is
know that they can
Look at people like
survive.
Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg bought the
No.
Apex.
I can understand that they can survive with whatever gate they make, whatever money they make at the gate in arena, be it
You
like
have
a
billionaires.
$2 million gate. They would, the cost that is around putting the arena event compared to the gate is much the same as just doing it in the Apex without selling tickets. Anyways,
What are you running?
all right. I'm not running. I'm here. All right. I think we're just going to go streamroll the rest of these questions. Rose Namajunas defeated number 8 ranked flyweight, women's flyweight. How about finishing the trilogy with Andrade, a flyweight or backup contender against Barber?
Backup contender, please. Backup contender. I want to see her back in the title picture.
Who is the flyweight champion? That's Grasso, yeah?
Alexa Grasso.
Yeah, and Grasso is tied with a trilogy with Shevchenko. There's no time there. Joking. Lol, that's Temba. He said, I'm just justifying myself fights at Apex, or I've learned to fall in love with the Apex. The reality is there is reasons for those shows too. Yep. As you can see, Temba, but Demola likes the Apex as well. And I'm sure fighters that are in Vegas, that train out of Vegas, are even close to Vegas, they love the Apex. I think there's a fighter hotel close to there. Well, I honestly don't know. I've never been to America before. Maybe if Temba invites me, invite the African fighter there. Hey, Temba. I honestly love it. At the Apex, it's like my house now. I know everything there, and it's so good being there. Get an Airbnb right next to the Apex, and you're in good hands. Now that's why these fighters love that place. And then after, if you win, you just get a limousine and go to the Las Vegas Strip and go and spend money. All right. Moving on. Yes. So you said Macy Barber. Wait, who is Grasso fighting for the title? Shevchenko again for the third time, right?
Shevchenko.
Because they are doing the Ultimate Fighter, and they would eventually go. They probably would be the guys in UFC Noche in that Sphere Arena. Wouldn't that be incredible for them?
Most likely, main event or co-main event.
Co-main.
For reasons best known to you.
All right, let's go. This is from Christopher Graham. Christopher Graham is an absolute MMA nerd. He calls himself a hardcore fan. Yes, I believe you. Anyways, he says, predict the next title challenger when what UFC pay-per-view number is it takes place on. These questions are starting to feel like an exam. Heavyweight, John Jones versus who and when? I think the UFC have been stubborn with this one. They insist on John Jones versus Miocic, and John Jones versus Miocic is absolutely going to happen once John Jones is healed up. I think Miocic is just trying to get his last payday, which he absolutely deserved. He's had a Hall of Fame career. John Jones is likely going to fight again, who knows, after Miocic, because I feel like he's going to beat Miocic, as most people, even the bookmakers, believe he would do so. When, I don't know, but when do you think this would happen?
In the second half of the year, probably October. Yeah, October.
All right, moving next. Interim heavyweight title fight, Aspinall versus who and when? I'm going to go out of the limb. There's obviously two clear people, Cyril Gane and Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades called out Aspinall to defend his interim title, and Aspinall accepted. Boy, I just got distracted by a comment that came in. Frederick Huxonville said, I'm not going to lie, Saaiman needs to put on some muscle. I don't think he can move down, but his reach is a big hindrance. Yeah. It didn't look pretty at all. As a fan of Cameron, it was sad, bro. It was sad to see that. And to be honest, it's going to be all different if Talbot goes up and dominates all the top contenders in the division. It's gonna feel a bit different when we look back at this fight, but right now that fight wasn't absolutely pretty to see. All right, so heavyweights, Aspinall versus who? I'm gonna go out of the limb and say Aspinall versus Cyril Gane because that's a big European fight on European soil, be it in England or France. It's gonna be like a big derby because there's like this big England and France thing going on. I understand it's just the interim title, but that's where the UFC is at the moment. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Cyril Gane is the obvious challenge for Aspinall, but then I am not very sure when UFC London is going to be this year. It should be sometime in the summer, I'd say probably around May. I think that should be the clear cut choice for a headliner. If it's not going
You think if the UFC comes to the UK, they would rather have Aspinall headline than Leon Edwards? I know that Aspinall for sure Aspinall is the more popular fighter out here in the UK for obvious reasons. But to be honest, I'd rather see Aspinall myself because I don't like Leon Edwards.
It depends. If it's a pay-per-view, so it would probably be a double headliner: Leon versus Belal for the main event, and Aspinall, Curtis Blades or Cyril Gane.
I think Leon versus Belal alone cannot entice people to put their hands in their pockets to buy a pay-per-view.
It's not heavy enough. Combine those two, then you can.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Light heavyweight title fight. Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill, UFC 300. Who you think say go win these fights?
To be honest, I think I am biased here. I'm leaning more towards the Jamal Hill side for obvious reasons. Be the president of the association that I am.
All right, I actually agree with you. I go with you on that one. I would want to see Jamal Hill take his title back. He's an incredible entertainer. I'd love to see that. Next, middleweight fight, Dricus du Plessis versus who? Obvious people that he would fight is either a rematch with Sean Strickland or a title
Israel, the last
Israel Adesanya. I would like to see this in UFC Africa, but it's highly unrealistic at this point. But we would love to see it happen. All right, next, welterweight title fight, Leon Edwards versus who and when?
Belal Mohammed. Belal, remember the name. Mohammed.
Yeah, it's a bit
Most likely made it
unfair that
pay.
people.
Pay.
It's a bit unfair to the welterweights, you know. Like I can imagine being a contender in the welterweight division, right? And the way the top of the card is so stuck. The last top contender that accepted to fight below was Gilbert Burns, and we saw what happened to him. It's like the guys up there are just sitting in their spots. We just want to see movement up there, man. Uh, we've got Frederick here. He says they should have Leon Edwards Bilal. They should have done Leon Edwards Bilal 300 over Weili Zhang and Xiaonan. People dread that matchup with him and Bilal. Therefore, we can get it over with if Leon wins. Give him JDM of Shafkat. You know, that's kind of a good point. You know, uh, Temba thinks it's gonna be JDM or Shafkat. I don't think the UFC can do Bilal that dirty. I think I kind of believe we
I
agree
think
with what Frederick is saying with regards to they should have put it at the co-main of UFC 300 and be like, okay, we are done with this fight, right?
exactly.
Because
Because even the white they
instead of that
offered
Xiaonan,
Leon.
because that Xiaonan fight, that Wei Lijian and Xiaonan fight could had headline China.
Mhm.
You know, when they go to China, they could do a pay per view there. China will probably sponsor them to go there because it's a all Chinese affair. They've got that going on, but I understand they would want female representation on UFC 300. But I think Frederick is onto something here. uh, I never really thought about it that way. Temba is definitely not a fan of Bilal. He needs to go relax somewhere. Bro, welterweight division, man. It's very stagnant up there. All right. Yeah, Leon Bilal has to happen, man. We don't have a choice. I think even the UFC don't have it. They'll probably want to capitalize on UFC coming to the UK to do it. So Leon versus Bilal somewhere in the UK sometime this year. I don't know. Islam Makhachev versus who? I believe
Dustin
Islam
Poirier.
would likely fight Gaethje if
Dustin
Gaethje beats uh this guy's name.
Max
I
Holloway.
forgot. Yeah,
Max
Max
Holloway.
Holloway. If Gaethje beats Max Holloway, they would want to do that rematch because I think Islam kind of like did something, some sort of like fight wish list or something like that, where he mentioned who he wanted to fight at what point, and in his list, Gaethje was there. Dustin Poirier is always a very good B side to have for every champion. Mostly because he is popular for being a main eventer, but he is one of those guys that will go down in history as one of the UFC greats that never won the big one. And I feel like Justin Gaethje might also have that in his future, being one of the greatest in the UFC to never win the big one. But I think we probably would see him and Islam. Who do you think you would see him with?
I would rather see him against Dustin Poirier because I think if Gaethje wins against Holloway,
Mhm.
he would probably be on a medical suspension. He would be out for a while. He would need to rest. So Dustin Poirier is the clear cut, favorite, and I think Islam wants to fight in the summer, right? So the only reason why he did not fight in UFC 300 is because of the Ramadan, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think he was offered the Leon Edward fight as well. But I think this summer we would likely see that fight. Dustin Poirier, Islam Makhachev, uh, fireworks.
Yeah, Frederick thinks Dustin Poirier should be for Islam.
Mhm.
Uh, we've got Miss B Word, Holy B Queen. His blessings, thank you. Is Francis and Wilder possible? Could talk about that towards the end. And by the way, I'm coming to the UK after my fight. It will be cool to have free lunch and drinks from the million.
Whoa! Remember. Free drinks on me.
Emma! Demba! Bring that Dwayne The Rock Johnson money!
Yeah.
Bring that Project Rock money! Yeah, absolutely, man.
God, oh.
Absolutely, man. Temba, if you come, when you are coming, let us know. We'll all rendezvous in London. Yes, yes, brother. All right. Moving on. Moving on. Sorry, where were we? Temba distracted me with this one. All right. Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria is out there doing some tour in football stadiums, right? He went to the biggest or the greatest stadium or the most successful stadium in the history of football in Santiago Bernabeu. It's an incredible stadium they've got there. It's a very modern one, recently got renovated. Sold out. He came out. The fans were crazy for him. As we know, he's from Georgia, but he's based in Spain. And he also went recently when Georgia had a football game this week. He went and there was a great ovation for him. He had a T-shirt. Yeah, so that would be something interesting. With Dana said they are open to do anything in Spain in a stadium or whatever. But we've also seen Sean O'Malley call out Ilia Topuria. That's not a fight I want to see.
That's a long shot.
Because I rather have champions stay in their divisions. That's how divisions get stuck. But
What comments is that?
all right, we've got one from Miss B. We've got Temba said I heard UK is expensive, so I'm gonna get any free. Absolutely, Temba.
You
Don't
are
worry, we
correct.
got you, man.
That's why we got the GBP, Great British Pounds. It's called great for a reason.
Oh my god, I lost my camera. I'm gonna switch my camera now. Oh, it's back up. Okay,
What the
there you
hell
go.
is this? Just signed Dion Williams for a record-breaking $5 per fight contract. What's this person?
So we've got Frederick here. He says Topuria versus Movsar. I believe that's Ivoloev. Next easy
Yeah.
title defense for Ilya. The next then Sean matchup seems to be like an escape from fighting the top contenders for O'Malley. You know, my thing with Ivoloev, right? He's one of Mosvar, sorry. Is one of those fights that the UFC are scared to put because they are afraid that the title will get in his hands. And if the title gets in his hands, there's no money there. Because I think it's sort of like the same thing with Ankalaev, right? The UFC are like obviously pushing Ankalaev away from the title picture because of money reasons. I think Mosvar, I think it's Mosvar, Ivoloev is in the same boat. The UFC don't
Ankalaev
want
was given
him.
a title shot at some point that
Eh?
ended in a draw. Ankalaev, he was given the title shot against Jan Blachowicz, but that fight ended in a draw, and that was why they switched over to Jamal Hill versus Pereira's godfather. What's his name? The Brazilian guy.
Yet the fight ended in a draw, which was unfair. It shouldn't have.
Who should have won that?
It was a fight that it was against Jan Blachowicz. Blachowicz was even conceding defeat in that fight, if you remember.
I think he should
That
have won that.
Ankalaev fight.
Ankalai's
Anyways,
leg was destroyed in that fight, so Jean should have actually won it. If anybody should have won it, deserved to win that fight.
yeah, I I absolutely think the UFC don't want that Ivoloev fight, bro. Ankalaev has power and good striking and good grappling as well. Ankalaev does. You know, I could see Ivoloev losing to Mitchell, given the fight didn't fall out. You know, I think there was a fight recently that Mosa had, and the Dana was like kind of unpleased with his performance as well. It was sort of one of those things of like, this guy is on one of the longest winning streak in the UFC, but still he's not getting the respect he deserves. But again, you've got to. This is show business. You've got to be a bit exciting, and I get it. Even when Usman was getting shtick for it, I actually understood it as well.
Exactly.
This is one of the holy shit. What the fuck is going on? Fight. It's Pantoja versus Ekeg. Ekeg. Cannot even pronounce that guy's name. He's ranked number 10 or 11
I do not understand
among the
rationale behind.
flyweights. Yeah, that when that fight was made, I think it was you that was asking me like,
I
what's
was the
going on
one.
here?
Like, what is happening here? Like, I felt like I was in a dream. I was actually sleeping on that day, and I woke up and I was scrolling through my Instagram, and I saw it. I was like, okay, let me try to wake myself up. Like, this is probably like a dream. Probably I'm having a bad dream, and I had to call you to say, is this actually possible, or it's not April 1, maybe April Fools or something? But it is what it is. It's happening. How do you skip number 1 down to number 9 and give the title shot to number 10? Doesn't make sense to me.
All right. Well, my camera is acting up. I think we've spent enough time here, guys. I wish we could go on and on. Miss B is out here just cruising she's catching cruise in our comment section. Thanks, man. Thanks, Miss B, for coming in. Thanks, Frederick. Thanks, Temba. Temba, looking forward to having you out here. Looking forward to having you out here in the UK, man. We are going to enjoy London together. Ladies and gentlemen.
Help me! If they carry me, they go, we are not know.
All right, guys, this will for ladies and gentlemen, Jibril. That's the Kingdom Stemola, the African fighters. Sign it out. Peace.